Wow, wow, wow. Well, this has all blown up, hasn't it? This situation. I just got done watching Rick Beato's video, also Adam Neely's video, and incidentally, Davey504 and Danny Sapko suing each other, but we'll get to that later. So this has really drawn so much attention to this, and I have to just kind of admit something quickly. I kind of feel like a bit of an idiot myself, or I've been completely naive to this whole fake guitarist thing and stuff. I mean, I don't use Instagram, very rarely look at it, but I don't follow that kind of content really, because it hasn't really interested me. But obviously this has brought it all to light, and I have been feeling weird the last few days because it's been brought to my attention so much that I realized I've been so maybe stupidly naive about this whole thing. I'm watching creators, very successful ones and others, where their audio is clearly edited to sound perfect, and now suddenly I'm sort of scratching my head going, oh, is that how it's done? You know, I mean, 99.9% of the time, everything you hear on my channel is literally me playing in front of the video, you know, and I'm not saying that so everyone can go, oh, you're fantastic. No, far from it. I feel silly in a way because I have thrown away so much material because I thought it wasn't good enough. I've been actually paralyzed by the feeling of I've done this entire take, like 3-minute take, and there was like 2 notes in it, and I was like, I can't put it up. So I'm learning something from this. Was I wrong for doing that? Probably. It was ridiculous. I mean, when I think of the countless things I've done, I never felt it was good enough. But I was, like I say, paralyzed by my own sense of what I should be capable of. So what's fascinating to me is the complete reverse of that, where someone, whether they can play or not, has taken it so far to the extreme, but got pretty successful and popular from doing that. I mean, maybe it teaches me something. Not that I'm going to start going about doing that per se, but perhaps I could be a lot more easygoing about it. So that's something for me to ponder on and consider. But there's one part of Rick's video where he references Adam's video that I just wanted to consider for a minute. And it's this part here in conclusion.
Whether or not you personally think that this stuff is deceptive and should be called out, it really doesn't matter, because the vast majority of audiences simply do not care.
If you're watching
I just have to say I absolutely loved Adam's video, by the way, and it gives you a really broad understanding, and it poses lots of questions, so I think it's fantastic. So my only thought with this particular quote, whether you have an issue with it or not, doesn't matter, because the vast majority doesn't care. I just slightly struggle with that, because whilst that might even be correct, my question is, but would they care if they knew? And because the vast majority don't necessarily know if something's being polished or whatever, does that make it right? So I guess what I mean is, when you think about historically, Whitney Houston, Led Zeppelin, Super Bowl performances, they're all polished because they're on TV. There's a certain standard that should be upheld. But with these people, we do know that when they're in the studio, they write great music. They are great performers. I mean, I'm thinking of Whitney Houston. There's that song, Saving All Your Love or something. When I think of the chorus of that, there's one bit where she's quite sharp in the final recording, but I always think I quite like that because it's true, so we know that these people are great. No one is perfect. No one can achieve that thing, but I can understand back in the day that celebrity was almost designed to be mysterious enough that people bought into it. They bought the records, they bought the into the live performances, and the fact that back in the day there weren't cameras and cell phones, as it were, to record everything, there was no proof. People would be in the moment and accepting of the live performance more than if they were sat at home, and that's why it's been doctored and all the rest of it. But the vast majority not knowing, I think you could argue, is like, does it matter? Well, maybe it does. If they all knew, it might have some impact, you know. If you liken it to somebody buying a $2,000 jar of caviar and sharing it with a few friends, hey guys, yeah, have this. Oh wow, isn't this brilliant? Then the next day they realized that it actually was bought from a Target down the road for $3.99. You know, there are standards by which retail has to follow. Like, that's completely illegal and not cool. But there's even an argument for saying, but in that moment, if someone was, you know, rich enough to be able to afford to throw $2,000, they didn't care in the moment because it made them feel a certain way, and they enjoyed it, and they shared it with their friends, and everyone thought, oh, this is so naughty, I'm eating a very expensive bit of caviar. So they still had that enjoyment, but once they found out that it wasn't the real thing, they probably would have felt a bit differently. So maybe it does matter a little bit. You know, maybe it's a silly analogy, but again, going back historically to people buying DVDs back in the day and not knowing things were recorded, me included. I've bought countless DVDs, music live performance DVDs, and probably 99% of those had some audio, you know, improvements. But I just think there's a level with it, you know. I mean, Adam mentions this guy Levi McLean and the spectrum of permissibility. I think that's a really awesome way to look at these things. And again, I love Adam's video, and he, you know, expands upon that. And I think there are different criteria for genres and all of these situations, you know, and talking about the jazz spectrum of permissibility and all of these things is very interesting. So anyway, we just find ourselves in this place where perhaps it's okay to a degree, and this is where the spectrum comes into it. As I said, I've been paralyzed by my own sense of what I should be capable of, and where have I got that from? Probably listening to this stuff over the years, but it's had the adverse effect. Yes, it's inspired me to be the best I could be, but it's so much so that I thought I should be able to do this. Oh, I'm not very good, right? And so I've felt that way for years and years, and that's why I don't have an album out. I use that word again. I'm paralyzed by the fact that I should be so much better. Oh no, I can't put this down. I've tried to record tracks over the years and just literally not necessarily deleted them. I have copies of them, but I just couldn't release them because I felt it was never good enough. So this is just posing the other extreme of this, the effects of this, and I'm just even considering about this in this very moment. So it's something I need to think on, you know. Maybe I've been too precious about it all. Maybe I need to learn from this, and maybe it's okay to a degree to change the audio and all the rest of it. My caveat would be, as long as you're somebody that is able to play the material you're presenting, then I guess it's cool, and we should just lighten up and all be okay with it. But yes, in terms of the Giacomo scenario, I guess that was a case too far, right, where he is actually unable to do what he was presenting. So that's definitely not cool. But there's a level and there's a line, and so I'm learning from this whole thing myself. So like I said, I really loved Rick's video on this as well, and at 3:38 is the biggest mic drop ever, but I love it. Check it out.
Hey, I'm saying it. I didn't post the video because Giacomo couldn't play well enough to be on my channel.
Hey, that's a gangster move right there. But at the same time, in all seriousness, that probably would have been kind of an awkward moment, because I've seen a lot of Rick's videos, as we all have probably, and he's a very enthusiastic, he's a brilliant interviewer, obviously very knowledgeable about music, and is passionate about lots of subjects, which is wonderful. You know, we need people like Rick in this world, and I would imagine that video was kind of uncomfortable, you know, because he's so enthusiastic and such a fan of music and guitar, I guess there would have been points where he was asking him like, oh man, yeah, I loved that video. Yeah, can you play a bit of that and this? And I guess there must have been a point where Rick probably on camera is realizing in real time, like, hang on a minute, something's up here. This doesn't feel right. And yeah, man, that must have been an awkward thing to be a part of. So I completely understand why the video wouldn't have gone out, and that would have sort of felt like it wasted his time and everyone else's. I guess that was kind of an awkward thing. It will be a very fascinating watch, but perhaps it will never see the light of day. Anyway, Rick, yeah, great video. Keeping it light-hearted at the end, the Davey 504 suing Danny Sapko and vice versa. And it's interesting because, I got completely suckered into that myself. I was like, oh, geez, this is going to be interesting. But of course, they fooled us all. It's just a joke and a bit of a ploy to get us to click on the video, and then they end with this great jam. It was almost like a little mini Hollywood movie in itself. So maybe there's a light-hearted approach to all this, and it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It just poses the question, is something inspiring? Is it entertaining? The entertainment world is what it is. Maybe I need to take a leaf out of everyone's book and be more entertaining, be a bit more fun, be a bit more carefree. Also, Charles Bertoud just released a video saying that myself, Jack Gardner, have offered to help him out to re-record his Slapocalypse video. I think that's cool, that's a positive. I think it would be nice to see us do something else as well, because I've seen a lot of his cool videos over the years. Again, good player and entertaining at the same time, so I think he's got a great balance. So I'm looking forward to doing some stuff with him. So there we have it. I'm going to start editing all my audio and trying to sound as perfect as possible. Let me know what you think about that.